Hey everybody, I am super excited to be here. I had to take this call from home today due to some circumstances, so I don't have my normal office backdrop and just got here, so I'm really excited to do this with you. Unfortunately, I got to do it from home. So, um, guys, I just wanted to present to you today on some free lead sources. I'm excited to do that. Before we get started, I'd love everybody to go down to the chat, and I would love for you to tell me where you're coming from, what market you're in. I obviously am in Indianapolis, but what market you're in, and how many years you've been in real estate. So tell me that in the chat here right now. We'll wait just a little bit here, and I want to hear that from you. If you guys don't have access to the chat, let me know. You should. Tell me what market you're in, where you're at, and how many years you've been in real estate. Are people able to get into the chat here? Let's take a peek here. Panelists, yeah, there we go. There we go. I just fixed that. I think I just fixed that. You guys are unable to do the chat. So in the chat, tell me where you're at and how many years you've been in real estate, please. If that's not working, that's fine. I'm going to actually, I wanted to have a conversation about where your guys' paid sources are from. And I'm curious why people's chat isn't working here. Panelists can chat with everyone. Attendees can chat with everyone. It's really interesting. I don't know what's happening. As we're kind of working on that, I want to talk about these 5 sources. These 5 sources today that I'm going to talk to you about are free lead sources that, oh, okay, cool. Thanks, Jim. I appreciate it. It just came up. So Jim, Jessica, Rebecca, Roman, David, you guys tell me where you're at in the market and tell me what year you're in. Awesome. Rebecca is in her 2nd year as real estate broker in the southeast part of Indy. Most of her leads come from her broker through realtor.com. Join today to find out more information on gaining leads. Awesome. Jim, you're in Idaho, 21 years. Beautiful, cool. Jessica, Roman, and David, please tell us where you're from and how long you've been doing this. Awesome, cool. Roman, Austin, Texas, licensed since 2010. Beautiful. All right, guys, while we're going here, David, it looks like you use Real Geeks in your 12 years in Indiana. I want you guys, if you haven't said so yet, I want you guys to share what your current paid lead sources are, what you're currently paying, spending money in lead sources. A lot of people, like think about these as either website leads or Google PPC leads. Also, opportunities for paid leads are like Zillow leads, realtor.com. Some people are paying for Facebook leads, those kind of things. I want to hear what you guys are currently paying for in leads. I'll go ahead and share ours. Right now at Crest Point Real Estate, I am investing in Zillow Premier Agent leads. We stopped that for a long time, and we got back into it about 1.5 years ago. Currently, it is profitable for us. It's about a 3 to 3.5 times ROI. We're not talking about paid lead sources today. I'm just sharing with you because we're going to do a little exercise here in a second. We also pay a little bit for Facebook leads, and then we pay for Google PPC leads through a platform called Sierra Interactive for people to come to our website. And that's some of our paid lead sources. We do spend money on our sphere of influence from time to time. We spend money on events and those kind of things. But those are our paid lead sources. Just so you guys are aware, our business at Crest Point Real Estate is about 65% past clients in sphere of influence. There's about 10% or so that come from low-hanging fruits. So things like for sale by owners and Zillow leads and open houses. Then there's about another 10 or 15% that come from our pay-per-click traffic and those kind of things. And then the rest comes from our reputation and referrals. So we actually don't categorize our past clients and our sphere of influence as referrals. Those are two separate lead sources in our organization. Just a quick recap, the lead sources in our organization, there are 4 of them. It's past clients and sphere of influence. And then the second is long-term nurtures. Long-term nurtures are pay-per-click leads. They're just sold, just listed prospecting leads. They're like door knocking leads, those kind of things. And then our website registration, like I said. And then the third is what we call low-hanging fruits. These are Zillow type leads. These are open house leads. These are leads that are ready to transact right now for sell by owners, expireds. Those are low-hanging fruits. And then our fourth is reputation. These are the people who just call us. We don't know them. Our past clients actually didn't refer them, but they just call us. They see our reviews online. They see our presence on social media. They see our active involvement in the community. And the people just say, hey, we see that you're really active. We see that you're a really good agent. And we want you to help us. So that's reputation. So it's those 4 lead sources. Past clients, sphere of influence, we call PCSOI. That's number 1. Number 2 are long-term nurtures. Number 3 are low-hanging fruits. And number 4 is reputation. So what I want to hear from you guys today, please share in the chat while I'm going here, because I want to have some conversations around this. I want you guys to think about the last 12 months. And I want you to think about how much business has been procured from your paid lead sources. Now, I coach people one-on-one, and I coach real estate teams too across the country. But I'll tell you, one thing I find very quickly is that some people don't even track their business. They don't even inspect their business. They don't know where their business is coming from. They're just kind of shooting from the hip. If you're not tracking your business or tracking your lead sources in every single transaction and having a look at that every quarter and 6 months and a year, then I'll tell you, you need to start now. And you can do that very easily with some kind of spreadsheet. We have one of those. But I want to hear from you how many deals, transactions, or volume, whatever you want to share, came from your paid leads in the last 12 months. Think about that. Think about it real quick, and I want you to put it in the chat. Okay? Jim, you said you guys use Zillow Flex exclusively and you did only 5 deals last year. Okay. I'd be interested, Jim, how many leads you got. If you don't have that information, I'd love for you to quickly go look that up. How many leads did you receive from Zillow Flex in the last 12 months? Okay. David, you said you did 2 transactions from Real Geeks. I want you to take a best stab at how many leads you got from Real Geeks in the last 12 months. I also want you guys to think about how much money. Zillow Flex, obviously, if you guys aren't aware, Zillow Flex does not take any upfront money, but they take referrals on the back end, somewhere around 35 or 40% on each deal, right? So that's money spent, but it just happens on the back end of the deal. So I'd be curious how many leads you guys have received in the last year and then how much money you've spent on that. For those of you that are willing to share, I'd like to hear that. If you guys are paying for leads, my recommendation is that the only reason to keep those leads would be as if you had a 3 times ROI or greater on those lead sources. Okay? So you need to have every single dollar that you put in the machine, the lead machine, you need to be getting about 3 back. Yeah, good. David says his ROI is about 4 times. David, that's great. That's something that I would call a green light. You've got the green light to continue investing in this. Here's what's interesting, David, is that your ROI, or anybody's, your ROI typically remains the same per lead source, no matter how much money you're putting in it, until you get to like a law of diminishing returns. So for example, David, you said you got about 180 leads. Well, let's say this year, and you paid $2,100 for it. That's pretty good. That's a great cost per lead. Okay. Let's say for the rest of this year, you said, you know what? I want to double my investment. I want to go to $4,200. Okay, well, you probably make about $16,000 or $17,000 on that. You'd have a 4 times ROI on that dollar amount with the amount of leads that you're talking about. Rebecca, this is great. Best stab, 14 leads from realtor.com in the past year and closed 6 of those in the last year. That's great. Managing broker pays for the leads and dispenses them amongst brokers, and then I'm sure you guys pay them a split, excuse me. That's really good conversion. Okay, that's almost 50% conversion. That's really great. That's good. You are paying for those leads, Rebecca. You're just not paying for them directly, right? Your managing broker is paying for them. Now, I want to hear from you before I give you the ones that we do that are free. I want to hear from you the other side of your business. I want to hear from you how many deals you did in the last year that were from free lead sources, or from referrals, or from reputation, were from past clients, or your sphere of influence. I want to hear that. I want to hear how many deals you might have done from just prospecting a neighborhood, and all that takes is your time, or social media, those kind of things. Jim, none, new to the city and just starting over. Yeah, Idaho, that's a cool area. I'm glad that you're there. I hope that it's going well. So guys, put your best stab in here as quick as possible. Like, how many deals, how many transactions came from unpaid lead sources? Your reputation, your referrals, your past clients, your sphere of influence. I wanted to kind of open up our eyes and see that typically, yeah, David, 20 of them, 6 from open houses and the rest from your sphere of influence, your circle of influence. This is awesome. Typically, when I go and coach teams, or when I coach top producers or people wanting to take it to the next level, typically what we find is a majority of their business, like I mentioned, 65% of my brokerage's business comes from our past clients and our sphere of influence. And then another like 10% comes from our reputation. Guys, paying for leads, oftentimes we think it's like a lever, right? We think it's just like, hey, I'm going to start paying for leads. I'm going to start spending money on leads. And then all of a sudden, I'm just going to get all of this money in return. I'm going to start closing a bunch of deals. And that's not true. As you guys likely know, you need systems, and you need really good follow-up, and you need really, really great conversion techniques in order to make these leads make sense. So I would encourage you to dive in on what we're going to talk about today. Okay, guys, let's do that. Thanks for sharing. I can see that it looks like most of your businesses have come from unpaid leads. Thank you very much. The first thing I want to go over with you guys is your past clients and your sphere of influence. Okay? Free lead sources, pretty much. I want to tell you guys what I think is the perfect cadence, the perfect message, the perfect follow-up campaign for your past clients and your sphere of influence. And yes, we put those in the same bucket. Rebecca, I've done 3 huge postcard mailings since I started last April and continue to do those in areas I sell and list homes in. I listed and closed 3 homes from the 3 calls I received my postcard mailings. Yeah. Rebecca, those postcards weren't free, but they were probably pretty close to free, right? Pretty cheap. So that's really great. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Let's talk about our past clients and our sphere of influence. Let's talk about the formula. I'm going to give you, I'm going to give you 5, maybe 6 free lead sources today. And the first one is your past clients and sphere of influence. This is where I'd start writing things down. Here's what we found. We have found that the first thing that's important with your past clients and your sphere of influence is quarterly phone calls. By the way, nothing that I'm going to tell you guys today is rocket science. These are all things that are pretty simple, but I'm pretty boring. And one of the things that keep me and my team very consistent, I personally sell about 100 to 125 homes a year, is just being consistent. One of the things that keeps us producing at a high level is being consistent and being boring. One of the things that we do for our past clients and our sphere of influence is I commit to reaching out to them via phone quarterly. That's a big commitment, okay? That's a big commitment, but it's an important commitment. So here's what we do. We take our sphere list and we take all of our past clients. And what we do is we divide that list up into how many calls we need to make in 12 weeks, 4 times a year. Okay, it's pretty simple. So if you have a list of, let's just call it 300 clients, past clients, or 300 sphere, and you take that and you divide it by 12, you can call those 300 people 4 times a year with 25 calls a week. You understand this? It's pretty simple, right? You take your whole list, you divide it by 12, you make that many calls a week, working through the list each quarter to call them 4 times a year. Now, oftentimes people say, oh man, like that's awkward. I haven't called my past clients in forever. I don't have a relationship with them anymore. What do I even say? Like, how do I do this? I'm going to tell you guys that it has nothing to, the script here has nothing to do with saying the right thing. It has everything to do with calling them as a human being. So here's what my script sounds like when I call my past clients in sphere of influence 4 times a year. I ring them up and let's say I'm calling David and David's in my past client. And David answers and said, hey, David, how are you, man? And David's often going to say, hey, man, I'm good, Patrick. Like, what's going on? And I'll often say, hey, I know this is out of the blue. I often say, hey, I know you weren't expecting this call. Hey, I'm calling you and you weren't expecting that. I apologize. Man, I honestly just want to see how you're doing. Like, I want to see how life is treating you. If they purchased a home with you, I want to see how the new house is going. Like, just tell me, like, how is life? How are you? And these people, even if you've called them 4 times a year, they're so grateful for that call. And they're just like, hey, Patrick, like, hey, thanks, man. Like, things are good. I'm sorry, like, I'm a little busy, but things are awesome. I really appreciate you giving me a call. And oftentimes then I'll just say, hey, like, that's great. Like, I just want to make sure that you're fine and your life is great. I'll continue to do this about 4 times a year. I just like to reach out and make sure that you're fine. If you need anything in the real estate space, if you need contractors or anything, I'm here to help. Just real quick before we go, like, what's on your mind regarding real estate right now? Like, what are you thinking about the real estate market? It's important to ask them that question. So there's really only 2 things in this script. It's acknowledging that you're calling them out of the blue. It's asking them how they're doing in their life. Okay, acknowledging that response, responding to it, conversating around it appropriately, asking them more questions if they want to talk. And then before they go, it's like, hey, what's on your mind regarding real estate this year? What do you think about the real estate market? Oftentimes these people will tell you exactly what they think. They'll think, hey, I think the real estate market's really strange right now. Hey, interest rates are really bugging me right now, whatever. And you listen to them and you take that and you say, hey, I just want to hear from your end what you think about real estate. But here's what else happens. Oftentimes they'll go, hey, Patrick, like, actually my cousin was talking about buying the other day. Or, hey, my mom just passed away and it'll probably be about 6 or 7 months, but we're probably going to sell her house. And these kind of things just happen. And what you're doing is you're just instilling top of mind awareness. And this is all free. It just takes your time. I would encourage you to do this. Guys, every week, my managing partner, it's essentially like my managing assistant. Her name's Karen. She gives me a list every week of my past clients that I need to call. And I make sure I call them every week. And when I have these conversations, very often, very, very often, they'll say, hey, I know somebody that was thinking about moving, or hey, my neighbor mentioned moving, or hey, I'm thinking about moving myself, or hey, my family member passed away, or something like that, or hey, we're getting a divorce. And these things come and they bring it to you. You're not talking to them about the real estate market. You are very, very much so not asking them for referrals. You're truly just asking them how they're doing, and they will bring their real estate questions and concerns to you. They'll bring them to you. So I would encourage you to make those calls. Here's the next free magic sauce with your past clients and sphere of influence, not rocket science, doing a newsletter for these people, okay? Doing an email newsletter for these people. Something like MailChimp is free until you get to a certain level of the database. And in this newsletter, guys, There's really 4 or 5 components that you need to include in every newsletter. You can duplicate, and just change a couple things in it, and it's a great newsletter. The first thing that I would recommend is taking a video of yourself explaining real stories of success in the real estate market today. Hey, I just helped out this client. This client had this situation. We were able to accomplish it, or we were able to circumvent this issue by doing this. And then this is what the market's like. It doesn't have to be professional by any stretch. As you guys see, I had to be home today and I would have taken a video just like this with this backdrop. It's okay. It doesn't have to be professional by any stretch. And you say this video, and then what I would do is I would upload it to YouTube. And you can even make it like a private link. That's fine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be public on YouTube. It can just be a private link. Then what you're going to do is you're then going to go online, and you can use YouTube for this. You can use Google, whatever, and you can just say, you can go to ChatGPT, whatever you want to do. You know, Windows has platforms for this. Apple has platforms for this. I would put my video, I'd upload it, and I would transcribe it into text. After I transcribe it into text, I will fix any errors in the transcription. ChatGPT and those things are getting so much better. Anyways, I transcribe it, and I would start my first mailing email campaign. And in that campaign, I would attach, and through MailChimp or MailerLite or any of these mass email components, I would attach a video at the top of it. And then underneath the video, that's the first component, underneath the video link is the transcription of what you say in the video. It's everything that you say in the video. So you capture people that open your email newsletter that want to watch a video, and then you capture people that don't have time to watch a video, but they want to see what's going on in the real estate market, and they read it. Okay, that's the second thing, is the transcription. The third is you need to provide them a link for them to shop for homes, something that's trackable to you, that if they were to go to that website and shop for homes, that you were to see their activity and you could capture them as a lead that way. There's a lot of platforms for this. Somebody said they had Ylopo. There's other things like Sierra Interactive or Real Geeks or whatever, where you can just send them a link to your site. They're able to register and look, and then you can track what they're looking at, and you can watch what they're engaging in. That platform is not free. I understand that those platforms are not free, but your brokerage may have those platforms. Okay. The third component is the link. The fourth, and this isn't rocket science. The fourth component is a link for them to get a home value from you. Again, a lot of these platforms, Ylopo, Sierra Interactive, Real Geeks, whatever, they have home value landing pages. And in those landing pages, people will click on a link, they'll put in their address, and they'll get an estimate of their home value very quickly. They'll use like Zillow's estimate, Realtor.com's, and Remind's. Even though Remind shut down, they'll put all these things together, and they'll spit out an estimated value to your client, which is just information, but then you capture a lead. You capture somebody who's curious about their home value. Okay, that's the fourth component. The fifth component, not applicable for everyone, but I would showcase what you've done in the community, or I'd showcase a success or a job opening that you may have or something in the newsletter. So showing you as a real life real estate broker out in the community doing something, which we're going to talk about that as one of the fourth or fifth pillars of free lead sources here in a second. So I've given you two things for your past clients in your sphere of influence already that equates to 16 touches in a year. The first is 4 phone calls, and the second is 12 newsletters once a month that have that exact formula that I just went down. Okay, any questions on this stuff, just pop in anytime. And then here's the last thing that I'd recommend you do that's quasi-free for your past clients in your sphere of influence. Send them a card in the mail on their birthday. Send them a card in the mail on their home anniversaries. Okay, we're talking about $1.50 here. Okay, buy $1 to $2 generic birthday cards on Amazon in bulk. Buy home anniversary cards on Amazon in bulk. Put a 55-cent or whatever it is anymore stamp on that thing and send it to them on their birthdays and send it to them on their home anniversaries. Here's a quick tip. I can already hear some of you say, like, how in the world am I going to get their birthdays? How in the world am I going to be able to send a card like every single day on their birthday? Like, I'm not going to be able to keep up with that. And also, like, how am I going to do that with home anniversaries? Here's what we do. The first of every month, we send everybody a happy birthday card if their birthday is that month. Okay, and wish them a happy birthday month. And then the first of the month, we look up everybody's home anniversary and we send them a card on their home anniversary. Guys, I can't tell you how many texts and even calls I get where people are like, Patrick, like, seriously, thank you for your card, sending that. Like, that meant a lot to me. Like, you're the only person that sent me a birthday card in the mail. And that makes a ton of impact in their lives. So we're talking about 18 different touches there just between quarterly calls, email newsletters. Rebecca, I was reading your comment. Great. I'm glad you love that. That's awesome. Email newsletters, also between birthday cards and home anniversary cards. This is a no-brainer in keeping in touch with your past clients in your sphere of influence for free. Here's an objection we get often, like, how in the world do we get your birthdays? Well, guys, like, this is what we do. We say, hey, every single time we get a pending transaction, we say, hey, can you send us a picture of your driver's license? And then we'll send it over to the title company. We say, hey, like, here's their most recent driver's license, and in their driver's license, it has their birthday. We tell them that we're going to send this over to the title company for us. They email their driver's license. We send it over to the title company. We delete their email. Okay. And that's how you get great birthday cards, or great birthday dates for all of your clients moving forward. You could also mass text your clients and just say, hey, I like to do things special for people's birthdays every once in a while. I'm going to start doing that. Could you please just reply back like the month and the day that you were born? And that way I know. Think about yourself, like, who sent you a birthday card? Your last birthday. Like, for me, no one sent me a birthday card except for, I think, my dentist. And then one of my best friends that lives in another state who does real estate coaching with me. Like, that was really it. And it's because we adopt these same things, since that's why he did it. So that's what I would tell you to do with your past clients in your sphere of influence. There's a couple other things that bleed over that I'm going to go over into in community involvement here in a minute. But the first pillar is your past clients in your sphere of influence. And that's some really great ideas. I hope that you implement them in order for you to get some great traction and some free leads. Second, social media. I am not the world's greatest social media coach. I'm going to admit it right here. I transparently, and looking over your guys' chat history here of what you've said of where things have come from, I transparently do not believe that there are many agents out there. I'm not going to say that there are any, but I'm going to say that I don't believe that there are many really successful agents out there that would say that all of their business comes from social media. Okay. People don't go on social media to get real estate news. People don't go on social media just craving for that next reel from the 8 different real estate brokers that they follow, or probably the 12 different real estate brokers that they follow. I'm not saying that it doesn't equate to any business. I think it builds reputation, and then you get reputation-based business. But social media is something for us to talk about. The first thing that I'm going to say about social media is that I believe that if you daily practiced a 15-10-5 campaign, which I'll explain here in a second, I think that what's going to happen is you will start to build your reputation. And I believe that you will be able to build some business out of that and start getting direct phone calls with people that want to hire you. Here's what I mean by a daily 15, 10, and 5 campaign. Before I get into it, I'm going to explain something, and you guys probably already know this already. The way social media works is it wants people to engage with one another, right? It wants it to be social. Social media does not deliver your business page content or your personal content or your stories to people very well unless you yourself are engaging. I am the worst at this because I have an 8-minute timer on my phone for all social media per day. Okay, I think social media is a huge suck of not only like our time, but I think it affects our mindset negatively. So I have a limit on what I'm doing in social media. I'm a bad preacher of this. I'm a preacher of it, but I'm a bad, what's the word? I don't know. I don't fulfill this. Okay. But here's what I'd recommend is that by engaging in social media, more people are going to see your content. Social media is going to deliver your content because you're engaging with them. So what I mean by 15, 10, and 5 campaign is that every day, very quickly, what I would recommend that you do, role model. Thank you, Jim. I'm preaching this, but I'm not being a good example or role model. 15 times per day, I'd go on social media and I would like or heart someone's status, picture, whatever, okay? Their event, whatever it is that they're doing. And I would do it at things that you are authentically interested in, okay? Here's one quick disclaimer I'm going to put out there is that I often find that real estate agents just follow a bunch of other real estate agents. Okay. And they follow them for a lot of reasons. Like one, that's their community, or two, they want to see what they're doing in the real estate space. Well, it's pretty obvious, but I'm going to say it. Do not spend all 15 of your likes and your hearts and your hugs or whatever to other real estate agents, because that's the only content you're going to keep getting. And if you put out content, those are the only people that are going to get it. Not only, but a fair, like an unfair proportionate amount, right? So engage with things that you authentically care about, families and people that you care about, causes that you care about, looks that you care about, content that you care about. Because Facebook and all of these places, Instagram and Google and all these places, they know what you actually care about, and they know when you're gaming the system. So take some time and do 15 likes or reactions to 15 different posts in a day. The next thing I'd recommend is 10. This is the 10 of the 15, 10, and 5 campaign. I would recommend that you do 10 comments on those things. So 10 different comments of things that you like, that you are engaged with, that you believe in and have interest in. Okay. Comments go a long way. When you comment on people's things, the next time you post on something, you're very likely to land in front of them. So you'd probably want to comment on people that you also want to be in your circle, right? So I would do 15 reactions and then 10 comments. And then the last would be 5 direct messages. And those 5 direct messages per day shouldn't take you very long. And my recommendation is that you go in to each one of those reactions or comments and you direct message something a little bit more, a little extra step on what happened in that post that you reacted to or you liked. Okay. It's kind of like think of it like a funnel. Okay. If it was a really special day for you and you posted something on social media, you probably get, double digit in likes, right? Well, sometimes people will look at those likes, but I don't. I'm not sifting through and seeing who's liking and loving my stuff. I personally don't care. And I think there's a lot of people that don't. Okay. So at the top of that funnel, a lot of people don't really care a whole lot about who reacted. They probably care about the number, which is a weird psychological thing. I'm not going to get into it because that's what our worth is wrapped around right now. But anyways, they care about the number. But they do oftentimes look at the comments, which is the second realm of that funnel. Okay. And they'll get push notifications of those comments, whereas sometimes you don't even get push notifications of the likes or the reactions. But they'll get a push notification of that comment, and they're curious about what people are saying in that comment. That also shows them that if you were to comment on those things and say, hey, you looked like you had an awesome Mother's Day, I wish you all the best. That feels pretty good to them, right? Well, let's say you took that a step further and now you're in the bottom of this funnel and you send them a direct message like, hey, I commented on your thing, but I just want to say hey, your family looks really great. How are you guys doing? What's life like? Not only do they receive a push notification, but they also think wow, this person's taking the time to send me a message. That's great. There's so much more influence at the bottom of that funnel. So I recommend that every day you go out and engage. You're not trying to pull people into you. You're going into their lives and social and doing a 15, 10, 5 campaign. Now, the other 5 that I would add to this is really a weekly number, and I think that's posts. I think that's how many posts you should probably make a week. And I think it's a mix of personal real estate client success stories, maybe some local happenings, but I think that local happenings wave is starting to like diminish in the real estate space. I don't think people go to their real estate brokers to figure out like where the best barbecue place is in town. I think that's a misnomer. But I do think like a mix of personal real estate news and updates and client success stories, I think those are great things. And if you can intermix those like 5 times a week and you do this engagement daily, the people that you are engaging with will receive your content. And make sure that you're not just engaging with real estate professionals. All right. Okay. That was the second thing that was social media. The third thing I'll talk about just really briefly, but we have success at Crest Point Real Estate for sell by owners. Okay. For sell by owners are free. For sell by owners are really good sources of business for us. It's typically around 10% of our business each year throughout our whole brokerage. Our brokerage will probably sell 350-ish a year. We're probably close to 350, maybe 400 this year. We're cruising right now. We're trying to get to 400. That's one of our goals. And so that means 25, 30 of our deals may come from FSBOs every single year. And we're actually tracking towards that this year. We call them, and when we talk to them, we try to establish rapport with them. We don't tell them that we have a buyer unless we have a buyer. We truly just say like, hey, what's your situation? I guess what caused you to do this for sell by owner? And when they say we want to save money and we don't want to work with real estate agents, we say, hey, we totally get it. We understand. If we weren't in real estate, we'd probably think about doing it too. And we say like, where do you want to go? What are you trying to accomplish? What is it that you need to make from this? In what ways do you think I can help you right now from a very free standpoint? And we just try to understand where they're coming from. One of the better ways that we get for sell by owners is we actually compile all of our hot leads in the brokerage and what they're looking for. And then when we call for sell by owners, we actually line up legitimate showings with these people. So we'll call for sell by owner, and I just did this today. I'm from Plainfield, Indiana. There's a for sale by owner in Plainfield, Indiana. It's like a $240,000 first-time home buyer house. But I have clients. Their names are Haley and Caleb. They're looking for something just like it. And I call them and I reference them by name when I call the for sale by owners. This for sale by owner's name was Linda. And I said, hey, Linda, I know that you're probably really tired of getting these calls. She said, I really am. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm a realtor, but I'm kind of calling you in a different way today. If you have like 2 seconds, she'd be like, hey, she said, what's your spiel? What's going on? I said, I actually don't have a spiel. I have these clients named Haley and Caleb, and this is very similar to what they're looking for. They're on a portal from me and they're not getting this home in their portal because for sale by owners aren't in our portal. And I was curious if I could just show it to them today or have one of my showing partners show it to them today. And she was like, okay, what's their story? And I said, hey, Caleb is a police officer in Hendricks County. Kaylee's from from Illinois, and she's coming to live with Caleb. Haley, he's coming to live with Caleb. And I said, this is like right up their alley. Haley's in town right now. Caleb's obviously right here. Could I show it? And she said, yeah. Like what time could work? And so at 2 p.m. today, my showing partner Karen's going to go over there and going to show this house to our clients. So we're playing matchmaker with them. And when we actually like bring in buyers, actual buyers, for sell by owners see our value. So what I would suggest is come up with a list of hot leads, call for sell by owners only if you have legitimate interest from buyers and they're coming in to the door to see the property. Or if you're calling from a place of understanding and just trying to better understand their situation and what they're trying to accomplish without trying to sell them on anything about how you can sell it for less or they are going to miss out on the market if they stay for sell by owner or any of those things, because you're essentially telling the seller that they made a mistake, that they're wrong when you do that. And that's not going to work really well. So the third free resource is for sell by owners. You get the list through Zillow. Just go to Zillow and look up all the for sell by owners within an hour radius from you. And that's free. And that just takes a little bit of time. Again, I told you, I'm not going to tell you anything that's rocket science today. As a matter of fact, we had 3 other attendees. I'm just going to call it out right now. As soon as I said, I'm not going to tell you anything that's crazy exciting, I'm just consistent It's not rocket science. They all bounced because we're all looking for some answer. We're all looking for some new shiny object, and guys, they're really not shiny objects in this. It's just about being consistent. All right, here's the fourth thing I would say is free prospecting around your successes. Rebecca, I'm curious if you don't mind sharing in the chat. You said you did 3 huge postcard mailings since you started last April, and you've listed and closed 3 homes from those. I'm curious if those were just solds, or if they were just listeds, or if you just sent a postcard to a neighborhood that you wanted to belong in and you wanted to dominate. I'm just kind of curious. What we do is we do just sold campaigns, and we call them and we send letters, and we do this in-house. Now, I understand the calls are free. Okay. The calls are free. You can get numbers through products like Remine or Mojo or the Red X or whatever it is that you want to subscribe to. Just remember, if you're on the do not call list, there can be consequences for calling people on the do not call list. You need to make sure that you check those rules in your area. All right. But we do call just solds. We have conversations with them. We say, hey, I'm calling you out of the blue. I apologize. I'm a real estate agent. My name is Patrick, and I just sold a house in your neighborhood on XYZ street. Sometimes people want to hear what they sold for and how quickly they sold and when the people are moving in. Would you be opposed to me sharing that to you? People often say, yeah, like that's not a problem. I'd be open to that. I'd like to hear that. So I would recommend that you guys make those calls. Those are free. But you also can send them something, and we do this in-house. We actually just print out a 1-page, just has a picture of the house on the top, a picture of the agent, says just sold, and then we write out a little blurb like, hey, we just sold this house at this price. This is the square feet. If you have any interest in knowing what that means for your house in the neighborhood, just please give me a call. And we sell quite a few homes with that. I told you guys that about 10 or 15% of our business comes from long-term nurtures, and just solds is a big piece of long-term nurtures for our team. Okay. So we get inbound calls from those mailers. We get inbound text messages from those mailers. We also send them, we also provide a QR code on that mailer of that home value website that we have through our CRM, where they can look up their address and see what their home is worth. We can do that, but oftentimes we'll just get a call or a text message. And don't be afraid to make those calls as well to your just solds. We do just listed calls, but just solds really are probably one of the best, my favorite prospecting call to make. And I still make them today. Even a part of the production that I'm doing, I'm still making those calls. I enjoy those calls. One quick tip I'll give you is that oftentimes when people start doing just sold calls, they'll call neighborhoods that have lower values. So they'll be like, hey, I think maybe the conversations will be a little bit easier in the average price point or the median price point listings. There's more data, there's more people. I think those will be easier calls. I'm going to tell you that those are the hardest ones. And here's why. Those type of neighborhoods, as you can imagine, receive a lot of phone calls. And they receive a ton of calls from investors also wanting to buy their homes and lowball them. So the barrier to have a positive conversation with them is higher because you're trying to weed through that whole like, hey, wait a minute, I'm not an investor. I am a real estate agent. I am just trying to call and tell you what these houses sold for down the street from you. And oftentimes the hangups are more on those. What I would encourage you is to call the custom home neighborhood that you just sold, or the most expensive one that you just recently sold. Those people oftentimes are not getting phone calls from investors. They're not getting calls from real estate brokers. And they oftentimes are more curious about real estate than an average home owner. Okay, because oftentimes these people are invested in real estate. And so they want to hear about real estate from you. So if you have the high dollar for sale by owner, or you have the high dollar just sold and you're nervous about prospecting that area, I would encourage you that would probably be the most effective one. As a coach or as a managing broker, when I start to tell stories, I see people's eyes glaze over. But 3 of the most expensive listings that I've had this year are from just sold prospecting. Okay. people who have expensive real estate also value people that have experience dealing with that kind of real estate, right? So if they've seen your sign down the street and you call them and they're thinking about moving and you send them a letter, they're likely to engage with you versus just clicking a button on Zillow or clicking, Google, I want a good real estate agent. Okay, they want somebody that has experience in that. Don't shortchange yourself. And then the last thing that I'm going to tell you, I'm going to put these together in the last free realm here as we have just a few minutes. Rebecca, real quick, it seems like you did postcards around just sold. That's awesome. And then also you're doing that to rentals in your area. That's really cool. I like that as well. Yeah. So it seems like it's really just sold and rental that's working for you. I think just sold is the best free long-term nurture creation lead generation tool. I really do. That's free. Yeah. All right, I'm going to bunch these last two together as we finish. If you guys have any questions as I wrap up, you're welcome to send them. I'm going to put community involvement and networking relationships together and wrap them up into free lead-based sources. I truly, 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 truly would advise that you go and get involved in something. You sit on a board that meets once a month. You go and visit. Jim, yes, I do have a seminar recorded, paid lead sources. Jim, my email is patrick@crestpointindy.com. I have a whole masterclass that I did a couple years ago that I can get you access to. And it has all of those initial lead sources that I mentioned in the beginning, and the paid ones and the unpaid ones, and how we go about getting those. And I'll send you the link to that. So I hope that helps. Going back to community involvement and networking relationships is my last thing. I would encourage, like I said, you get on a board, you sit on some kind of community involvement piece. If you have a passion for parks, if you have a passion for young children that are underserved, whatever it is, I'd recommend that you get involved in that, because not only can you give back to the community, but also you fulfill your like internal drive to do something good in the world. Also, you can just like meet a lot of people doing that. And I got involved with two organizations a few years ago that not only am I super proud of because we accomplished a lot of things in the field that we were doing. So one is Plainfield Youth Assistance Program. So it's a youth assistance program that helps underserved children. And one is a Main Street organization that revitalizes old buildings in our town. By being involved in them, I was a part of a lot of really cool things and helping, front facing things and then under the radar things that helped people. But also I met a lot of people that said like, hey, like I see you're involved in this. Like when we go to sell, I want you to sell our house, or, hey, we're looking to sell or buy right now. And so that like, obviously that was great. That helped me, but I also got to help them and I got to help the people in the community in that community. So I'd really recommend that. I'd also recommend you thinking about a client event. I'm going to really just leave it at there because I think we can have a whole hour-long session on how to do a client event. If you did a client event, the only thing I'd tell you is it needs to be universal and it needs to give back. So whatever you're doing in the client event, it has to be something that usually everyone likes. And then while they show up to that client event, they have to be able to give back. Okay. So like our Crest Point Community Day is coming up June 21st. Every dollar that we raise goes to Plainfield Youth Assistance Program. We also have like dogs to adopt while we're there. And people show up for that kind of thing. Jim or Lindsay or Rebecca or Jessica, if you guys did like a Jessica's client event and it's just like come and hang out with Jessica, people don't really show up for that. Okay. But man, they show up for like, hey, come and hang out with Jessica, and every single thing that we do is going to benefit something else. People like that. People like to sign up for that. And then let's talk about the networking relationships piece as I wrap up. Here's one recommendation that I would make. Okay. Really quick, I would try to identify 5 influential people in your area that you don't know very well right now. This is around a concept of finding your 6 or finding your 5. Okay. And I would try to identify 5 people that you really think are influential. And I would reach out to them in your area. And I would would say, listen, I notice you. I notice what you do for the community. I notice what you do in your business. I notice whatever it is that you notice about them that you're impressed. And you say, like, I own a business myself and I want to learn from you. Please. Could I please buy you a coffee? Could I please just meet with you at a park or whatever? I don't know. That might be creepy. Don't do a park. Can I get you lunch or breakfast or something? And can I just like pick your brain on what made you so successful? What happens in that is that typically successful people say, yeah, I want to do that. Like if you've ever been in success in your life and somebody reaches out and says, hey, I want to pick your brain, you often say like, yeah, I want to sign up for that because this person's like motivated themselves, I can tell. I want to help them. And so you go and you sit down with these people, you select 5 and you make it happen. You pick their brain for an hour. And what's awesome is they're going to start asking you about your business. And they're going to help you build your business. And then you're going to be top of mind with a really influential person that you're the real estate agent that reached out and asked for help. And being vulnerable like that is a really awesome thing. And now this influential person that probably has a network 5 times as big as yours, they now know you and they have your number and you're one text or one phone call away from a referral from those people. And as you finish that meeting with that influential person, ask them who else is influential in their network that you feel like you could learn from and contribute back to. How else can I give to them? And they'll recommend someone. It's really just peer-to-peer networking. That's really what it is. And I would challenge yourself to try and have like one of those meetings every week or every couple weeks and set that up. You would be amazed the impact. I got this concept from a book called Find Your Six. I read that book several years ago and I started doing it. It was amazing. The people that I got introduced to, the podcasts I got to sit in on just to have fun or whatever. And then also like the people that reached out to me through that person when they said, hey, we're looking for somebody to help us in real estate. And that influential person was like, hey, this Patrick guy, he seems like really hungry and humble. He wants to learn. Like that's the kind of image you want to portray to influential people. And so that's what I'd recommend that you do. So just a quick wrap up. Here are the 5 free lead sources. And I just gave you guys the trajectory of all of these things. Past clients and sphere of influence is 1. Social media is number 2. 3, for sale by owners. 4, prospecting around your successes. And 5, community involvement and networking relationships. Did I tell you guys anything that you didn't know? Probably not. Yeah. Hey, Rebecca, can you give an example of that influential person? Yeah, it was the town manager of our town. This is a person that talks to hundreds of people a day. He's essentially the mayor of our town. Our town is a town. It's not a city. So we don't have elected mayors. We have appointed officials. And it was our town manager a few years ago. I said, hey, I know that you're very involved. I try to be really involved in the town. You're very successful at what you do. You know a lot of people. Like, I'd like to learn from you. And I did. I learned a lot about our community. I learned a lot about the inner workings of our community and like how police officers get paid and how parks get paid and how trails are paved and all of these things, like things I didn't know. And then the town has since reached out to me a few times and said like, hey, there's a property that we want to acquire. Hey, there's a property that we need help selling. And that really came from building that relationship with the town manager. So I'd reach out to an elected official in your area and just say, hey, I want to learn from you. I want to learn more about our area. I don't know the inner workings of it. I also know that you're successful. You got elected into this position. Like, can you tell me how to build influence like that? I want to learn from you. That'd be one great example. Wonderful. Cool. I'm glad I helped you. Guys, thank you so much for coming. I'm going to wrap this up. I want to lead you to a couple things before you leave, okay? I have a bunch of webinars and stuff that I've recorded and I've placed, Lisa, my assistant, has placed, I got to give her credit for sure, on this website called meetpk.co, okay? I didn't get com. It's meetpk.co. I'll put that, oops, I did that wrong. Meetpk.co. I'll put that in the chat, okay? if you go to that website, you'll be able to scroll down, and there's a lot of webinars that I've done on a lot of different topics. And I hope that that's really valuable for you. Also, if you want to just connect with me one-on-one, there is a link in there that you can schedule some time to connect with me one-on-one. If you want to talk about coaching, we can talk about coaching. That's awesome. I'm an under the radar real estate coach. I don't go out there and I'm not a talking head in the industry. I just like to coach people who want to be coached and coach people who are intrinsically motivated. So if you're in a team, if you have a team and you own a team or something, and leadership is a challenge, or coming up with agreements with the people are a challenge, or production's a challenge, I coach on that. If you're an individual agent, you're wanting to take it to the next level, I coach on that. I'm not a part of I was at one time, and I didn't like it, transparently. I'm not a part of a brokerage that does a downline or does profit sharing or revenue sharing. I own my own brokerage. So I'm truly doing this to meet people, to coach people one-on-one or coach teams. And if that's something you're interested in, I'd love to help with you. If you just want to chat sometime and grab coffee, let's do that too. But you can go to that website and check out things. Jessica, Jim, Rebecca, Lindsay, really good to see you guys. I know this wasn't rocket science, but I hope that I helped you. Y'all take care. We'll talk to you later.